Hi, welcome to the Good Grief blog, where we're going to talk about the weird, obscure, and unnatural. My name is Chris, writer of the Good Grief blog, and today I have Kaleb Naquin, actor and co-founder of Imaginative Pictures.
Thank you for inviting me on today, Chris.
Today we're going to be looking and reviewing the highly anticipated psychological horror thriller, I guess you could say, by A24. It is called Saint Maud.
I'm excited to talk about this. It's been a long time since it came out. Well, it's supposed to come out, but we'll get that to that later. Let's do this.
Let's do this. So, A24's Saint Maud was a highly anticipated film of 2019 before COVID hit. It was actually released in the UK, and then it was only up until recently in January of 2021 where it was released on all streaming platforms.
According to IMDb, this plot states that this is a story about a nurse that becomes dangerously obsessed with saving the soul of a dying patient. It currently has a user score of 6.9 and an 83 Metascore, and a Rotten Tomato score of 93, which is certified fresh, I believe. So, not really worried about numbers, because those always are, But if you're getting an idea of what the audiences and critics are thinking, there you go.
But before we get into any of the details, we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and see if it's actually what we prayed for. Spoilers. Obviously.
Spoilers.
Our story starts off where we meet our main character, Maud, who we find out is a recent convert to Roman Catholicism, who is a nurse who has undergone some kind of traumatic experience and is now a private caretaker for an ex-dancer who is dying of cancer. Now, these two are highly different in personalities. While Maud is more shy and reserved, the dancer, Amanda, is really not afraid of a party or a drink.
Regardless of religious beliefs, I believe this movie really digs down to the theme of how far would one go for one's faith? How far would you go for something you truly believe in, which is something we can all kind of put into our own situation in life.
And the interesting thing is, it's kind of similar to other A24 movies like The Witch, but it's also similar to Carrie, except Rose Glass gives us a different perspective of, instead of being raised in a highly religious household and then tragedy striking, what were to happen if someone actually chose the path of being the highly religious individual?
And oh boy, does she choose it. She chooses it
very strongly.
Very strongly.
The themes of this movie include mental illness, religious imagery, of course, and obviously there's a little horror sprinkled into it, because what is any A24 movie without a little spice, a little horror spice? But for Rose Glass's director and writer debut, not a bad movie. Not a bad movie.
Pretty good.
But can we put all of our faith into this A24 movie?
We might. I don't know.
Actually,
I do know, because I watched it. The first thing that really scared me about this film wasn't anything in the film, actually. It was the runtime. It's less than 90 minutes. And
it's very short.
At first, I was kind of like, I don't know about this. But then as you go on, you learn it's really a slow burn, but in such a short time that the moments that really are supposed to hit you hard. So, gotta give it to him for that.
I felt like your attention was intact most of the time.
Yeah. I will say there was, when we first talked about this before we made this video, there was one in particular part of the movie where we both felt like the filmmakers lost our attention.
The part of the movie where it lost most of our attention was when Maud goes up to the new caretaker, because without that scene, the movie would have been fine. I don't think there was any reason to put that in. I mean, maybe for character dynamic.
I've watched it twice already, and I feel the same way. That scene could have been taken out, and we still could have gotten to A and B in the same amount of time without that. But
The next thing that really took away from the film was the lighting. It was extremely dark. And I'm not talking about like the witch dark where it kind of almost looks like an Instagram filter put on the movie, but like it was like exposure was down, brightness was down, and it was kind of hard to see throughout the whole film.
Yeah, I would give it that. Especially there's one scene where they're singing "Happy Birthday" to Amanda at a party, and they take off all the candles in the room, and like you can barely see anybody. Which I mean, I guess was
it might have been an artistic choice.
Yeah, it was probably very intentional, but
it was like sometimes you were like, you know, it was difficult. The next thing that I think really was a con for the movie was you're almost starting to see a trend with A24's popular films like The Lighthouse, Midsummer. Even though you can understand what happens at the end of the movie, you still are left with a lot of questions like, was she possessed? Is this just all schizophrenia? Like, is there any supernatural thing going on? I mean, she was levitating, but we don't know if that was the devil or if that was all in her head too, which I mean, in some ways, you know, it's cool. It's a cool thing to leave open-ended questions, but I felt like it was so significant that I'm just kind of like, you know.
That goes back to what I was saying earlier in this video about faith and how far will one go to actually.
She could have been feeling it the whole time. She could have just been, you know.
Early in the video, I was saying how the theme of faith is very prominent in this film, of how far one would go for one's faith, and would she go so far as to her actually seeing the devil or, you know, temptation or whatever it might be that takes her away from her faith or her mission? Like, is she so deep into it that she's visualizing and manifesting these demons pretty much? Like, is she that deep in? Is she?
Yeah, is she really that deep in, or did she just eat something bad and had a stomach ache for over half of the movie? You know, because it was like the stomach ache, like the throwing up. What was that about? Almost by the end of the movie, you forget that she went through some kind of traumatic episode, essentially, because she just has fallen so deep in that pit. As an A24 horror movie, it didn't disappoint. It really didn't disappoint. The horror in this movie is very subtle, but the way that it's used, it's really, really good. There's some iconic moments like her floating above the bed. And a lot of the times where she feels like she's feeling God, she makes these facial expressions. And what they did post-editing was minimally edited the areas around her mouth to like exaggerate the expression, which, I mean, it looked creepy.
Yeah.
It looked really creepy. Yeah. When she starts actually like walking on the nails, I think that's when she's lost it. I think that's when she's lost it. Like, she's so, like, especially with the book that Amanda gives her, she's so inspired by it. It just brings it up a whole notch. And I even want to say, as the movie goes on, you see her little altar get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Like, I think I just clicked that. The ending's really artistic, which is a nice little, how do you say? Which is a nice mirroring of like reality in this fantasy world that we see Maud placed in.
So, like I was saying earlier in the video, the last couple of seconds kind of wrap up everything for you, and from that point you can make a judgment on what the film's trying to say. In those last couple seconds, Maud sets herself on fire, and you can see people just bowing down to her, very reminiscent of Hereditary. And then at the last second of the film, you see her just burning, like she's not.
Yeah, like in reality, she's actually screaming, burning in agony, but in her head, she really believes that all these people are, you know, bowing down to her, reverend to her. So overall, I would probably, me personally, give this film a solid 7.
I say 7.5 just for the overall message of the film. I really feel like it nails what it's going for right on the head, and I appreciate that in a film when its message is pretty clear, even though it might not be clear if that makes any kind of sense. But I like these kind of movies. They're very make what you will of them. They're very interpretive. Like you can interpret this movie however
My only thing is, I thought there was going to be more blood and gore. I thought it was going to be more bloody.
I would have gone, I could have gone for a little bit more violence and gore, especially the way the trailer played it off. I would say there's a little bit mismarketing, but that's with any movie, really.
Yeah.
Especially if you've ever seen Darren Aronofsky's Mother. The trailer for that was nowhere near what the film was like, but Mother's one of my favorite films to this day, so they had to get, butts in the seats somehow, so mismarketing the trailer did it.
Thank you guys so much for watching our review of Saint Maud. There's actually an article on our website dedicated to this review as well, and the other A24 article if you'd like to read that too. And don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and ring-a-ding-ding that notification bell wherever it is on the screen.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching, guys. Good night.